कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम जय राधे श्याम राधे श्याम राधे श्याम जय राधे श्याम जय गिरि गोवर्धन गिरि गोवर्धन गिरि गोवर्धन जय गिरि गोवर्धन निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरश्वदेशी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य बीबीटी फाउंडर आचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की पुरुषोत्तम श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की मथुरा द्वारका धाम की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की गोलोक प्रेमधम श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी All glories to assemble devotees, all glories to assemble devotees, all glories to assemble devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9. Prahlad pacifies Lord Narasimhadev with prayers. Text 44. So I'll recite the verse. Prayena deva munaya swamimukti kama maunam charanti vijane na parartha nishta naitan vihaya kripanan vimumuksha eko नान्यं त्वदस्य शरणं भ्रमतो नुपश्येत्। प्रायेण देवमुनया स्वविमुक्तिकामा मौनं चरन्ति विजनेन परार्थनिष्ठा। नैतान् विहाय कृपणा विमुमुक्ष एको नान्यं त्वदस्य शरणं भ्रमतो नुपस्य। प्रायेण देवमुनयः स्वविमुक्तिकामा मौनं चरन्ति विजनेन परार्थनिष्ठा। नैतान् विहाय कृपणान् विमुमुक्ष एको नान्यं त्वदस्य शरणं भ्रमतो नुपश्ये। प्रायेण देवमुनया स्वविमुक्तकामा मौनं चरन्ति विजनेन परार्थनिष्ठा। नैतान् विहाय कृपणान् विमुमुक्ष एको नान्यं त्वदस्य शरणं भ्रमतो नुपश्ये। प्रायेण देवमुनया स्वविमुक्तिकामा नूनं चरन्ति विजनेन परार्थनिष्ठो। नैतान् विहाय कृपणान् विमुमुक्ष एको नान्यं त्वदस्य शरणं भ्रमतो नुपश्ये। प्रायेण देवमुनया स्वविमुक्तिकामा मौनं चरन्ति विजनेन परार्थनिष्ठा। नैतान् विहाय कृपणान् विमुमुक्ष एको नान्यं त्वदस्य शरणं भ्रमतानुपश्ये। प्रायेण देवमुनया स्वविमुक्तिकामा मौनं चरन्ति विजनेन परार्थनिष्ठा। नैतान् विहाय कृपणान् विमुमुक्ष एको नान्यं त्वदस्य शरणं भ्रमतो नुपश्ये। माताजी। प्रायेण देवमुनया स्वविमुक्तिकामा मौनं चरन्ति पुनीन परार्थनिष्ठा। नैतान् विहाय कृपणान् विमुमुक्ष एको नान्यं त्वदस्य शरणं भ्रमतो नुपश्ये। प्रायेण देवमुनया स्वविमुक्तिकामा चरन्ति विजनेन परार्थनिष्ठा। नैतान् विहाय कृपणान् विमुमुक्ष एको त्वदस्य शरणं भ्रमतो नुपश्ये। Word to word translation. Prayena. Generally, in almost all cases. Deva, O my Lord. Munaya, the great saintly persons. Swa, personal. Own. Vimukti kamaha, ambitious for liberation from this material world. Maunam, silently. Charanti, they wander in places like the Himalayan forests, where they have no touch with the activities of the materialists. Vijane, in solitary places. Na, not. Pararth Nishtaha, interested in working for others by giving them the benefit of the Krishna consciousness movement, by enlightening them with Krishna consciousness. Na, not. Etan, these. Vihaya, leaving aside. Kripanan, fools and rascals. Engaged in materialistic activity who do not know the benefit of the human form of life. Vimumukshe, I desire to be liberated and to return home back to Godhead. Ekaha, alone. Na, not. Anyam, other. Tvat, but for you. Asya, of this. Sharanam, shelter. Brahmataha, of the living entity, rotating and wandering throughout the material universe. Anupashye, do I see? Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My dear Lord Narasimhadev, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they're interested only in their own deliverance. Not caring for the big cities and towns, they go to the Himalayas or the forest to meditate with vows of silence, Mauna They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter at your lotus feet. Purport. This is the decision of the Vaishnava, the pure devotee of the Lord. For himself, he has no problems. Even if he has to stay in this material world because his only business is to remain in Krishna consciousness. The Krishna conscious person can go even to hell and still be happy. O best of the great, O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence. The pure devotee is never unhappy in any condition of life. This is confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Narayana para sarve nakutasyana vibhyati swarga narkeshu api tulyartha darshinaham. Devotees solely engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all the same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. For a devotee, being situated in the heavenly planets and being in the hellish planets are equal. For a devotee lives neither in heaven nor in the hell, but with Krishna in the spiritual world. The secret of success for the devotee is not understood by the karmis and jnanis. Karmis therefore try to be happy by material adjustment, and jnanis want to be happy by becoming one with the Supreme. The devotee has no such interest. He is not interested in the so called meditation in the Himalayas or the forest. Rather, his interest is in the busiest part of the world where he teaches people Krishna consciousness. The Krishna consciousness movement was started for this purpose. We do not teach one to meditate in a secluded place just so that one may show that he has become very much advanced and may be proud of his so called transcendental meditation. Although he engages in all sorts of foolish materialistic activity. A Vaishnava like Prahlad Maharaj is not interested in such a bluff of spiritual advancement. Rather, he is interested in enlightening people in Krishna consciousness because that is the only way for them to become happy. Prahlad Maharaj says clearly, Nanyam tvadasya sharanam brahmato nupashye. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. One wanders within the universe, life after life. One wanders within the universe, life after life, but by the grace of a devotee, a servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one can get the clue to Krishna consciousness and then not only become happy in this world but also return home back to Godhead. That is the real target in life. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement are not at all interested in so called meditation in the Himalayas or the forest, where only one will only make a show of meditation, nor they're interested in opening many schools for yoga and meditation in the cities. Rather, every member of Krishna consciousness movement is interested in going door to door to try to convince people about the teachings of Bhagavad Gita as it is, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. That is the purpose of Hare Krishna movement. The members of the Krishna consciousness movement must be fully convinced that without Krishna one cannot be happy. Thus, the Krishna conscious person avoids all kind of pseudo spiritualists, transcendentalists, meditators, monists, philosophers, and philanthropists. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So I welcome you all for this daily Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. I feel utterly unqualified to speak, especially here in the company of Shri Giriraj at Radhakund. It's by the grace of Gurudev that we are sitting in a very exalted position. It's like going back in time. Uh, but I seek blessings from all of you that I can share something. Being surrounded with such great Vaishnavas and a lot of senior qualified visitors, I very novice, but I'll share little bit whatever I could assimilate from this text. So here, um, Prahlad Maharaj is praying to Lord that he doesn't want liberation, but he would like to assist him by bringing people at the shelter of his lotus feet. And this interesting is I had to speak on this, and I go for outreach to Thane, and there was a request for one more program. And I was contemplating, and I was telling the temple president that if you can provide me assistance, I'll go. I'm not going to do it one more program alone. Huh? So then, and there was this purport. But then this purport is an interesting thing that the prayer is made by Prahlad Maharaj. Hmm. He's not a novice. He's a very qualified devotee that he's having darshan of Lord, and he's saying that rather than being just with you, I would like to preach and bring people bring to your shelter at your lotus feet. So then it's two aspects. Yes, we want to. We want to preach, share, but then the first task is to become devotee ourselves, to be qualified. Last 2 days at this, we have this bhakti intensive course, and I was there to discuss with them a workshop on tree of life, Name Ruchi Vaishnav Seva Jeev Daya. And then we were discussing that how if our roots are very well nourished, our trunk is strong, like our Vaishnav Sangha is strong, then the preaching will manifest. The crown will manifest. It's not, we can't force it. I want to be a big preacher. If I'll force it, I'll not be able to handle it. So this is how we have to take care of, we have to nourish, we have to be ourselves practice. Our practice has to be very strong. And then only we'll be able to share the message with the world. And Srila Prabhupada is saying that that's why devotees, he quotes this work, Narayana Parasarve, Na Kutaschana Bibhyati, Svargapavarga Narkeshu, Apitulyartha Darshanam. There were devotees solely engaged in devotional service. And that's when they do not have any fear and they can serve Lord in the best interest. And Prabhupada is saying that rather his interest is in the busiest part of the world, where he teaches people Krishna consciousness. Mumbai, New York, Tokyo, right? This busiest. Is Dubai busiest also? Huh? Yeah. A lot of people go for, yeah. Now this time, carnival shopping to Dubai. Huh? So Krishna consciousness movement was started for this purpose. Hmm. So that's very important. Srila Prabhupada also says that uh, one wanders within the universe, life after life, but by the grace of a devotee, a servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one can get the clue to be Krishna consciousness and then not only become happy in this world, but also return home back to God. That is the real target in life. So it's interesting that if unless devotees like Prahlad Maharaj have this desire, we won't have been delivered. Why Srila Prabhupada chose to leave Vrindavan and go to Bawari and uh, preach amongst hippies, be amongst. I think today when we go out for outreach, we get all elite people, right? Like one educated. We don't have to. Some devotees are trying yes to preach in such areas, but we we get to preach to such elite. But Prabhupada did so much of efforts. Once there was a young boy who had a lot of ambitions in life. He did not know how to fulfill his dreams. So one day, while on his way to his home, he heard a katha like this happening and he heard the Maharaj and he was talking about the goal of life. What should be your goal in life? That you should have a goal in life. Yeah. Do we all have a goal in life? Yeah. Goal, not the goal. Yeah, but what's your prayojan? What do you want to achieve? The artha we are looking for. In bhakti life, that's prema. So this boy stopped by the class. He heard the seer speaking, and he was very impressed. And he said, "Oh, I should also have a goal in life." And he went back to his home, and he made a long list of things to achieve. Right from a big house, a big car, uh, a beauty queen as a wife, 100 servants, a monthly income in millions, a chance for yearly world tours. He was not satisfied with the list; like his list was long. You know. So he thought to himself that I must have missed something. So next day he went to the same temple where he had heard the class and he searched for that priest and who was known as the wisest man in the village. So he requested for an appointment with the sage, and somehow he got it. And when the moment he got his his company, he spoke to him very humbly. Your Highness, can you please spend, what do we say? Holiness, right? Yeah. So, okay, so Maharaj, can you please spare a few moments and uh, look at my list? Huh? These are the goals in my life. I'm very fearful. I'm afraid I must have missed something important. Something maybe I don't need or something. Can you please look at it and can you add few more for me? Uh, After all, it's a matter of my life. Please. Uh, so this wise man, he took his list, he gazed at it for some time, and he said, "Yes, I would." He found a pen, held it in his hand, and then put a large cross straight on his list. And at the end of the list, he wrote happiness. Uh, so the young man, he was taken by such an unexpected addition. He kept gawking at him with a question mark, with a large grit on his face. Told him, "My dear child, do not get offended. Your list was really long, and I'm sure you are capable enough to acquire all there in that list. I am not doubting. You can get all of that. But what will you do with all of that, with them, if you do not have happiness at your disposal? Nothing. Yeah. Like that king who asks, for the boon from God that whatever I touch turns gold. Uh, This food also turned. He couldn't eat it. So he had a long list. So this is the job of a devotee of Krishna, that how help people in different ways realize that what is actually they're looking for, to actually help them in their pursuit of happiness. Hmm. So the young man in this story, he misunderstood what the sage was trying to say. Hmm. Goal setting is very important in life, but it must be aimed at natural happiness, not artificial possessions. We generally confuse between pleasures and happiness. These things that he would give pleasure for some time, but then mm, Michael Jackson had everything in his life. People in the world, they were dying to touch him. Like when he came to India, one girl who by chance touched him when he was going to this stadium. She didn't wash her hands for a week uh, because she touched Michael Jackson. He had so much money. He had a Disney World in his own mansion. Hmm. His food was tested by 12 doctors every day so that he could live for 150 years. But all he could get was sleep. He begged his doctor to give him an overdose of sleeping pills, because of which he died at the age of 50, and he wanted to live for 150 years. Yeah. So much money, so many things, but some natural happiness was missing. Yeah. Everything had, he could buy everything. Mm. So so we confuse pleasure with happiness. So this boy's story tell us it's a reflection of what the world does to us today. We are mindlessly pushing ourselves to attain wealth and luxuries, but seldom we stop to ponder why we need them all. Mm. We all need happiness. So we fail to understand the world that what true happiness is. So that's a devotee's job, is to go out and share um, what it is. So for somebody, it could be a bungalow, marrying a beauty queen. I remember in my MBA, like, so my roommate, so we around 108 students. So there was this girl from Meerut, the most beautiful girl in our class, and this boy was like, she is going to be my girlfriend. I'm going to marry her, and he succeeded. She was very pretty, and he was like not at all, but he married her. Huh? And then after 2 years, I saw on the social media that they divorced, uh, and he married somebody else. So what looks to be the goal And then he again divorced. Huh? Now he's with somebody else. Huh? Last year he lives in Dubai. He has a mansion. He called me, said, "Oh, I'm super duper rich now. I have three companies. Huh? I have a pool in my house. I have this car, that car. Come to Dubai." Huh? So yes, he saw a video I made for GEV for donation. He donated 1 lakh rupees. So he has all this, but what seemed to be his goal. I remember how emphatically he said, "I will get this girl." But then 2 years they were like at loggerheads. Mhm. So for somebody something seems happiness, but somebody else is not. Huh? It is just a one step better than the previous state. For somebody it's just food. For somebody it's exotic food. But at the end it's food. So it's very relative. So what is happiness then? How it can be attained? What kind of goal setting exercise do we need to perform for attaining it? So that's what a devotee job is, to bring to the notice of people, to educate them. And why a devotee does all this? We'll have a little discussion on this, because a devotee, what is fundamental to him is daya or kripa. That's one of the qualities that manifests in him. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami, he elaborates what are the different qualities that manifest as a result of practicing bhakti. One of them is Shubhada. And he further elaborates four aspects of Shubhada that manifest in a devotee. One of them is Sarva Jagat Prenanam. That is compassion for the world. That is one of the qualities that manifest in a devotee. So, apart from he also becomes an object of affection for the world. That's why we see that our Acharya, Shar Goswami, these were, it mentioned that, loved by the gentle and the ruffians both. So, how they become the object of affection. All the good qualities, sadgun, they manifest in them. And so these are different qualities they mention as the practice of bhakti manifests. And first of them is he develops compassion for the world. Another thing is devotees, the same thing, how they are merciful and friendly, also spoken by Lord Kapiladev in his teachings. He says, Titikshava Karunika Suhrida Sarvadehinam. Yeah, he thinks about the welfare of all. How how I can bring this person closer to Krishna. So his concern there is to enlighten people in towards devotional service to the Lord. He would travel all over the country from door to door preaching, be Krishna conscious, be a devotee of Lord Krishna. When I read first time this diary of the traveling preacher, and Indra Maharaj, like he goes to like crazy places, like it's you can be killed. You are like very scary. Like why does he go? Like does he go for adventure? There must be. He has like this very strong desire to you know um, give Krishna to others. That's why he goes to the craziest of places. This festival in Poland, where all crazy people assemble. So they want to tell people, okay, don't just spend your life fulfilling animal propensities. Huh? Life is meant for self-realization. They want to say, and some of our acharyas we have seen. Can you remember some of our acharyas who took risk to share Krishna with others? From Gaur Leela. Yes. Haridas Thakur, yeah, he was beaten in 22 marketplaces and still praying for everyone. Yes, and who along with him? Nityananda Prabhu. He wanted to deliver Jagai and Madha. He would see them like wish, we could deliver them. In they were delivered, actually in the court of Yamraj, all their books had finished noting down their criminal activities. They were shocked. How could these two be delivered? There was a festival in Yamlok. So they go out and preach, and it says Sarva Dehinam, not only to human beings, but to all forms, huh? Human life. Anyone you remember from God Leela who delivered other than human being? Shivananda Sen, he delivered a dog. Huh? This is book by, Jananand Maharaj. Very small thin book. Animals in Krishna consciousness. There are so many uh, stories of different, like a cow who would come and sit in Bhagavad Katha. You know this this crocodile. South India. Which temple he is in? Padmanabh Swami. So he died, and again a new came. You know that? There's one died, and then a new one came. So So a sadhu is calm and he quietly and peacefully follows the principles of scripture. And that's the first thing how he inspires others to take up Krishna in his life. And Prabhupada was saying that unlike a jnani who lacks compassion, uh, so that's devotee has lot of compassion. And his equipoise is attitude toward all beings, samadarshanam. In 11th canto, it's mentioned Ishvara tad adhineshu balisheshu dvishashtucha prema maitri kripopeksha yakaroti samadhyama. This mentioned as the symptom of a madhyama adhikari, that he offers his love to the Lord. He's a sincere friend of all devotees of the Lord. And he shows mercy to ignorant people who are innocent and disregard those who are envious of the Lord. So people who are ignorant, he gives them, he shows them way towards Krishna. So devotees are requested to show mercy to ignorant people, uh, not inflict pain on others, never disrespect any living being, and always practice charity, offering respect, cultivating friendship. So these are some of the ways. And why does it happen? Why it is so important? Because bhakti is transmitted through the grace of a devotee. If an astrologer sees your chart, he cannot say that you will become devotee. Bhaktya sanjayate bhaktya. It comes, somebody saw you and he thought, oh, this person is so wonderful, may he become a devotee of Lord Krishna. And that's how bhakti transmits. Atha Shri Krishna Tadbhakta Prasadaja Sadhane Vina Yastu Sahasaya Vijayate. Sabhava Krishna Tadbhakta Prasadaja Itiyate. It a devotee's prasad, he thinks, oh, this wonderful person, may he become devotee. And then Bhakti Devi goes from his heart to the another. So if there are no devotees who actually want to preach, then nobody will become devotee, because Krishna does not give bhakti. Krishna Krishna actually doesn't empathize with our pain. It is a devotee. There cannot be darkness in sunlight. How will Krishna experience what we experience? He knows that we are suffering, but he doesn't feel that, but a devotee does. Uh, so so he sends his compassion to us through devotees. So and that's why devotees request, make a prayer to Krishna to be friendly to other living beings. When Krishna went from Vrindavan to Mathura, he met this Sudama, the garland maker on the way. And he also asked Krishna that I want unshakable devotion for you and friendship with his all devotees and compassion for all living beings. He could have just asked for, devotion to Krishna, but he asked especially that may I have compassion for all living beings. And the most expert devotee in that is, who has done that? Narad Muni. Like how every case he handled differently. He didn't have a same strategy. He delivered Nalkuvar and Manigriv in a different way, and he gave bhakti to Prahlad, and he inspired Mrigari in a different way. So how he has delivered so many ways. Now I'll share few examples of Prabhupada. This book by Vishakha Mataji, my favorite memoir on Prabhupada by devotees. 5 year, 11 months. He shares two very small stories. He shares that one evening she was listening to Prabhupada explaining Krishna consciousness to Bob Cohen. He was talking about Krishna's separated material energies, and at that moment, Malti Mataji entered that place with a glass of milk for Prabhupada. And Prabhupada immediately said, just like this, milk is separated energy of the cow, and like he was talking about the material energies of Krishna, so how Prabhupada could so simply, huh? And the Mataji was struck by the stark simplicity and clarity of the analogy of Prabhupada. She enters with a glass of milk and he immediately says, how milk is a separated energy of cow. Another evening, Prabhupada was using a knife to peel the outer skin of an orange. Hmm. I know it must be a Indian oranges don't need a knife, right? It was. So he was keeping the peel in one piece. Huh? So he was peeling in a spiral way. Yeah. So and he spoke while peeling, perfectly packaged by Krishna. So striking. Hearing that, Mataji says, my heart swelled with a wave of fresh appreciation for Krishna, who so dexterously wraps his gifts before giving them to us. You know, so striking because we appreciate. We'll appreciate um, this pudding with orange. That whatever a sweet. In Mayapur, they make orange halwa also. But how much appreciation do we hold for the person who created orange? You know, Chinese people made. My friend had gone to China. Said they made a apple with the flavor of orange. So they are interfering with, but Krishna has perfectly packaged everything. You know, you in Eco Village you can go out and see so many wonderful things, fruits. At this time, a lot of migratory birds come to Eco Village. If you really have an eye for spotting, there is very small bird. You will see these red flowers, these show flowers. They will go on the top of them and poke them and eat something. So how it's everything is so wonderfully crafted. So how Prabhupada has this, even these small lines, when I was reading Vishakha Mataji's memoir, they were the simple moment that transformed her. Her biggest transformation, I remember, was when Prabhupada appreciated her when she first time wore a sari. A person who's a scholar, a big saint, that moment he transformed into a loving father. And when it happens, he worships Krishna. So Krishna from God also transformed into a loving personality. So that's what happened with these people. Whatever memoirs I've read, they all, this. This, uh, this one is also great. If you have time, please read it. It has so many stories of Prabhupada interacting with people outside ISKCON. So another story, Satswarup Maharaj shares that Prabhupada was in Dallas Gurukul. Prabhupada and Prabhupada was speaking about Krishna. So Prabhupada heard that there was a school teacher nearby who was interested in Krishna consciousness. So man was anxious, to meet Prabhupada, and Prabhupada agreed to meet him. So as soon as he met Prabhupada, the teacher began to pour out his heart about his personal difficulty, like his personal challenges. He said that to make extra money, he was also driving school bus. A few weeks ago, while driving his school bus, he had run over and killed a young child. Now he was going through a legal trial, a legal case. As he went on with story, the devotees were like, "My God, why is he sharing all? We do all that, right? Huh? When Maharaj is walking here and somebody catches him and asking some question, you may be feeling, why is he asking this to Guru Maharaj? Or but Maharaj may have different feelings, you know. So he went on with story, and but Prabhupada seemed very interested, and he began asking him detailed questions. He asked him, "Had you come to a full stop?" The teacher explained that, oh, no, the accident occurred on Valentine's Day. You know, one of the children had dropped his Valentine and it fell under the bus. He climbed, he went under the bus to get it. And he told Prabhupada that, I looked in the rear mirror, I checked everything and I couldn't see anyone. So I started driving and he was under the bus and the bus drove over that boy. So Prabhupada asked the man if the company had insurance. Huh? After whole story, Prabhupada told him, I think you have followed all safety precautions and the court will leave you blameless. You know. When he heard Prabhupada's decision, the teacher became relieved. And after that, Prabhupada sat in his rocking chair and began to share Krishna about Krishna to the teacher. So he knew when he did not dismiss all of this is rubbish or whatever, Krishna will take care. He heard him. He brought him to a state where he is now ready for hearing about Krishna. So that's also so wonderful. Another very interesting story Maharaj shares is also related to Bob Cohen. Later he became Brahma Tirtha. Yeah? In 1972, a private darshan of Prabhupada was arranged for Bob Cohen and his wife. And his wife, all the devotees would try to make her chant Hare Krishna. She will not. They will say Hare Krishna, say hi. You know, she will not say Hare Krishna. So it was only her husband and, some sannyasis. Her name was Barbara. So Bob Cohen came inside and he bowed down in front of Prabhupada. And Barbara, she just bowed her head. And she won't understand what Prabhupada is saying, a word. Everything had to be translated for her. Um, so Prabhupada spoke to them for an hour and she was impressed and nobody knows exactly why. She also asked Prabhupada a few questions. Uh, and she was too new to appreciate Krishna consciousness at that time. Srila Prabhupada was especially very merciful to her. And when they were leaving, Srila Prabhupada passed out some rasgullas. He told her, hold out your hand. Huh? I said to Barbara, and placed the rasgulla in her hand. Huh? And she had it, and then as it was time for them to leave. Bob Cohen was to drive Prabhupada to airport. So everyone else was leaving the room. And Barbara, she lingered around the room until everyone left. Hmm. And then she turned to Prabhupada, folded her hands, and looked right in the eye and very deliberately said, Hare Krishna. So he had this, with an expression of welcome. Prabhupada replied, Jai. That's because Prabhupada. So Barbara was sure that Srila Prabhupada know that she had never willingly chanted Hare Krishna. Huh? And that's why Prabhupada said Jai, like when Mr. Nair left Prabhupada that time also said Jai. So Prabhupada knows how, to connect. A pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada knows how to give bhakti to a person. Hmm. So once there was a traveler. On his travel, he reached a Zen monastery and he met um, a new boy, who had been living for 1 year, like we have VTA. You remember our VTA days, huh? So I'm still novice, but he asked him, like somebody in our Gopinath temple in the courtyard will catch you and will say, you know, tell me about your encounters with enlightenment, your discoveries of the, of soul. Could you see Krishna? Did you get darshan? So this traveler asked this novice, and he said, uh, in my last 1 year, all I had learned is to learn to open and close doors. Learn to open and close doors. So that was the quiet discipline of not acting, you know, passionately, impulsively, while that was the task given to this boy, whoever was his teacher, that not to open the doors and close the doors very patiently. And so that's how it's, a wonderful teacher like Prabhupada knows, to give somebody to, learn to open and close the door. And or when he meets somebody like Gaur Govind Swami, he would say, I'll give you sannyas, in the very first meet. He knows how to bring everyone, near to Krishna. So Krishna's compassion in action appears by devotees, and that's why this prayer of Prahlad Maharaj is so important. Unless devotees like him want to be an instrument of Krishna's compassion, people like me will not be delivered. So philosophically, we say that people are suffering all around the world, but do we really feel it in our heart? How many of us feel it? How many of you would choose to be the instrument of compassion versus staying in Vrindavan, doing parikrama, Govardhan, then go to Mayapur? I meet some devotees here. For 3 months they're traveling. Govardhan Eco Village, then Mayapur, then Vrindavan, then Puri. So it's a big thing that he asking. We want to, uh, chant, do parikrama, have prasad, sit near Giriraj, and do all of this. But as in seventh canto only is mentioned that our deliverance can happen only. Prahlad Maharaj only says in his teachings to his friends, Naisham matis tavad urukramangrim, स्पृश्यति अनर्थपगमो यदर्थ किसका स्पर्श Mahiyasham Pado Rajobhishekam. The dust of the feet, lotus feet of the devotees, when it touches us, and what kind of devotees is that? Nishkanchananam Navrinita Yavat. The Nishkanchanas, their mati is on the feet of always attached to Krishna. So their mercy is very important. Yeah. So that's why this was very important. I'll just quickly summarize that this shloka was about this prayer of radical prayer of Prahlad Maharaj that I do not want liberation alone. Huh? He is asking not for mukti, safety, relief, but asking for responsibility. This because this prayer is spoken by him after he received full protection of Narsimhadev. Yeah? Narsimhadev protected him. Lord personally appeared before him and asked him. And Prabhupada was saying that karmis, they for them happiness by adjustment, which is temporary, from jnanis, freedom by escape, which is self-centered, but a devotee like Prahlad, service by compassion, fearless and fulfilling. And so fearlessness, does it come from a place? Like if you are in only Govardhan Eco Village or Vrindavan or Mayapur, do you be fearless? Or it comes from a relationship with Krishna. And that's what is very strong for Prahlad. Heaven, hell, or home, that's the devotee's vision that we want to bring people closer to Krishna. And so Prahlad, you can see Prahlad is in a demon's place, Haridas Thakur is in a cave, Lord Chaitanya is in the streets. So, and he has given us Vrindavan. So, false renunciation is escaping society to feel advanced, silence without service, meditation without transformation. But the mood of a devotee is willingness to stay in samsara, to engage with suffering people, willingness to be misunderstood for service to Krishna. I do not wish to be liberated alone. That's the mantra he is sharing. So Prahlad's invitation to all of us, as in the beginning of class, I said, be spiritually rooted, be socially present, and be compassionately active. These are the root, the trunk, and the crown. So we have to be first spiritually rooted. then we have to be socially present, and then compassionately active. So, if today Krishna asks, comes and tells you, Gop Kumar Prabhu, you are free now, what would you say? Wait, Krishna, there are others still wandering. Will you say that? Or I will end it here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. शिल प्रभुपाद की जय. Anyone, any questions, comments? Yes, Prabhuji. Krishna,
Krishna,
well packaged.
well packed. After
Yeah.
that, you mentioned something which I didn't get.
Mhm. Okay. Well, I was hearing that. So I shared that how it touched Vishakha Mataji, and she could appreciate the wonderful gifts presented by Krishna to us. That after hearing the statement of Prabhupada, that Prabhupada's sincere appreciation of an orange made her mind open to so much wonderful things Krishna has presented to us. And then I was sharing that we appreciate so many things around us, like, oh, who had made this building, who has made this food, but who has actually made the natural ingredients. We appreciate a painting of a rose. We may appreciate somebody has mimicked a rose with fabric or paper, but who made the actual rose? We miss that appreciation. Yeah. And so Prabhupada's simple appreciation, like how Krishna says, when you sip water, you say, Rasoham apsu kaunteya. How we can actually perceive Krishna in our general presence. But we drink even water so casually. We waste it so casually. So if we have that sense, oh, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, I am the taste of water, then how we can be actually Krishna conscious every moment. And that's what he made her open to in that moment. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.